LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, this is Shawnee, this is Keith, it's the Fatback 4. Emmett's not here, he's go-karting in Lanzarote, he's on his big competition he has on in there in Lanzarote, a big go-karting competition, so he is not here.
For him.
It's a huge competition he's in, look, he could become world champion.
Hold on, Gav, actually, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay.
Just want to change something. Back 2 seconds.
Go on, Johnny, see you in a bit. But anyway, Emma could be go-karting world champion by the time this show is over, or he might already be and he's just celebrating. But we've lots to get through in the next hour, Keith.
Yes.
Let's try get Shawnee back in. That wasn't the best start of his show, was it? No. Shawnee just here we go.
That's what he likes to do. Shawnee likes to drop a little grenade every now and again and just keep you on your toes.
Just wait until he starts doing that intro and then tell him, listen, I need to go, fuck off, and I'm done beforehand. Anyway, this is the Fatback 4. We've loads to get through. And the big thing today, of course, was Dominik Szoboszlai has joined Liverpool for 70 million euros. It's all done, it's all complete. He's done all the stuff at the Axe. We've seen all the coverage and the snippets and the videos and the photos and the quotes and stuff like that. So it's all good on that front. Me and Matt done a show on Friday night as this was breaking and about to be done. It was a brilliant show. Go and check it out if you haven't already. But I want to get Keith and I want to get Shawnee's take on this signing. Keith, Dominic Szoboszlai, Domo, as he's known around these parts, has completed his signing. Are you happy? Because I've yet to see someone that's not happy about this one.
Yeah, this is an amazing move for Liverpool, in my opinion. He wasn't on our radar at all. Obviously, he's been linked with Liverpool for a long time. Szoboszlai, we've spoken about him before on shows, and it moves so fast, as it always does with Liverpool transfers. You know, the ones that actually happen always seem to move very quickly. And we spoke on Wednesday on a show and we were talking about, the midfield signings, and we were focusing on the Thurams and we're focusing on the other lads. And he was just even at that point, it was just like, oh, right, Szoboszlai getting thrown in here as well. What's the story there? But they got it over the line, and you look at the profile of this fella and you look at the laden skills that he has, the traits, and it's an amazing move by Liverpool. 60 million for this fella, 22 years old. He's already the captain of his country. You know, and people might put stock into that, might not. I do. I think Liverpool put an awful lot into that because it shows character and it shows leadership. And this young fella looks like he has loads of that in his locker, which is great to see. But for his role in the team, you're now looking at a situation where we've got Alexis McAllister playing off the left of a tree and Szoboszlai playing off the right of a tree. And we may have moaned about our midfield options last year, about creativity and about everything else. I think Liverpool have already, the upgrade that we've done there is through the fucking roof, off the scale good, what we've done in that area. And I think it'll impact what we're going to do next, because we're going to talk about Romeo Lavia and that. I didn't think he was high up on our list, and he wasn't one that I was particularly interested in. But I think by bringing in Szoboszlai, it changes what I'd like to see us doing now. I think maybe more specialist six is probably what we need to bring in. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see how this one goes. I can't wait to see him playing number 8. You know, iconic number, takes over from Naby, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how this fella pans out, because it's a good price. You know, when you look at the prices that players go for now, it's scandalous money. You know what I mean? We've wrapped up 2 quality players for £95 million, and that's absolutely brilliant bit of business. So yeah, excited to see him and can't wait for the new season to start. And excited to see what we do after this as well, because I don't think we're done.
Well, we're going to talk about what we might do after this, definitely. But Shawnee, we spoke about the timeline of it the other night. Liverpool were named around them. Then it was like, oh, will it happen? You know, or will they shoot it out with Newcastle? And all of a sudden it was like, no, Liverpool are in the front running. And then Liverpool have just activated this. Could have waited until the 1st of July to see what would happen, but they didn't. They activated it. They've got him in. You see him there today. He looks an absolute unit. And like I said to Keith, I've yet to find someone, either a Liverpool fan or people say on podcasts or the media giving their expert opinion on it, people from Germany and stuff like that, have anything negative to say about this, Shawnee. It just seems like one that, you know, when you get a signing and like 90% of people are like, this is amazing, and 10% are like a bit wary. That hasn't come across at all, Shawnee. Any negativity?
No, because there's no negative drawback to this type of deal for Liverpool. Like, this is a player I never even conceived of us signing, because I just didn't think. I honestly had in my head that this was Man City's heir to KDB. I literally thought Man City were going to do what they did with Rodri and Fernandinho and David Silva and Bernardo Silva with this fella, and bring him in and let him hang around for a couple of years. And then when it's settled, let him move through and take Kevin De Bruyne's place. But I've absolutely no qualms about this one. He's a top class player. He ticks every single box in terms of what we've needed of his profile. When it came out on Wednesday, we were discussing it ourselves that this is either going to be one that just didn't happen, that happened really fast. It was never going to drag out. And it did play out that way. And the biggest surprise to me in this deal was, look, take it with a pinch of salt. It's not gospel, but you're hearing ways that how this deal was financed. And this is the first sign of a change of approach from FSG for me, because the rumour is that they've sourced the finances from outside of the club for this, and the outlay on this is zero. And he was bought through a loan. Therefore, us just activating a €70 million clause up front without a bother. I can't get my head around this signing, Gav, because I'm looking around the league and I'm thinking, right, Arsenal have done Havertz for a big fee, and United have done Mount for a big fee. How's everyone passed this fella up? I don't understand how we've got this. It's absolutely, it's a fucking brilliant deal. When I look at where we are now, some people were having shy hemorrhages about where we stood in the window. But if you look at exactly where we are now, it's the first week of July.
The 2nd of July.
The 2nd of July, and we've McAllister and we've Szoboszlai in the door, who are literally, like, honestly, I'm putting these two lads in every starting 11 in the league. I'm being deadly serious when I say that.
100%.
This is how I feel about that. These are two massive upgrades on our 11. These are players who can impact from day one. These are players who I don't feel will need bedding in periods. Obviously, there is going to be that, but I just feel that they both have the qualities where you just know they're going to go in there. It always looked like for me that we missed a boat with this fella. I thought this was a fella we should have took from Salzburg all them years ago when we come up against them. But look, it's an absolutely brilliant signing. He's absolutely gorgeous. He's taking the number 8 as well, which shows this fella massively backs himself. And like, the club have they've done a Liverpool with this deal where it's not that it's come out of nowhere yet, it's mentioned. Like we spoke the other night, Gav, I know you're very sceptical with reason of any report that comes out from any journalist. You have in your head the ones that you trust, but for me, it's always very obvious when it's a brief. You can always see when, all right, these have been told this by sources at the club. This is not something that's just being made up on a pretense that this fella's available on the market and Liverpool need a midfielder. It looked like Joyce and Ornstein were basically told, look, this fella Szoboszlai, we're going in for him. Now, we're aware he has a release clause that's up in the next 24, 48 hours, and we're looking to get this deal done. And it played out that way. So it looks like they were directly told, and nobody had a fucking clue. You know, so I feel like we're a step ahead now in this window, and I'm also sharing the same sentiment as Keith. We're in the bout now with who's coming in next, and is it and or all. Like, I think these two signings now mean whatever we spend the rest of our kitty on, you're more future proofing. A number 6 or another 8 and a centre back, and you have a nice, like, who knows how much we have left to spend. If this deal has little or no impact on our finances this window, it means we're in a really, really good position now in terms of the business that needs to be done. We needed 4. I felt we needed 4, and that's 2 down, 2 to go. So I absolutely no complaints on my end from this. It's 10 out of 10 business across the board, Liverpool so far. I don't want to I'm not going to overegg the pudding and just say FSG in or fucking this is what they should have been doing. For me, this is a real sign of intent, going out and paying 70 million for this fella and financing the deal. If that's how we believe it happened, financing the deal that way. This would show that the approach is different. This would show that there is money there to spend. This is honestly an A-class signing, and you won't get anyone denying it. Like you said, Gav, nobody.
Haven't heard a single word.
Yeah. And another thing that I always kind of look at when a player leaves is how is he perceived by the fans of the club where he's gone from. And you've seen the messages today from Leipzig fans and the video they put up. They knew this was coming for this fella because they're like, this fella is too good for Leipzig, who are Champions League regulars. You know, like, this fella is too good for us, and this is the next step on. I had no qualms about Liverpool attracting top talents not being in the Champions League. My qualm was Liverpool footing the bill and paying what's needed, the premium that's needed to get this calibre of player in. And they've done it here. So I've absolutely... there's no drawbacks to this deal for me. Honestly, I think it's absolutely fucking brilliant. And this one is kind of lit the fire in me to say, do you know what, Keith and Gav may be right here. I know that business needed to be done, but there's a chance here that, not that we're going to do a madness, but Liverpool are going to show a real, like, you know what, you can all do whatever the fuck you want, but you want to make sure you're on your game, because the players we're bringing in, we're going to be ready to go with this again in August. So a big lift. I genuinely believe that this is a serious sign. This is a statement sign. We said a few weeks ago, I didn't think that McAllister was going to be the most expensive player Liverpool bought. And I said that a few weeks ago. I didn't. And I know you guys said they were going to go big on one. I maybe thought they would have paid the premium on Thuram, but I did not expect this. It's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
It's when you look at the finances of it, I think it is clever, because if they let it go to the 1st of July, right, it opens up. It actually strengthens maybe a Newcastle's position, because they come in and go, well, it was 70, we'll give you 80, and the price could go up. You know, a lot of people do think if the buyout clause expires, you're going to get them for cheaper. Do you know what I mean? But that probably didn't look the way. It feels to me a bit like if Liverpool have probably looked at it and said to themselves, right, if we're buying him for 70 million in a normal transfer, we'd probably go in and give X amount up front, and we give it over the course of the thing, of the contract. But this one is a bit different, because the buyout, you need to put that 70 up. So what we do is, instead of it doing it out of our pocket, we'll go in, if this is to be believed, we'll go in, right, we'll give the 20 million up front, and we'll join it with 50 million from someone else who will give it, and we'll just pay the instalments to them rather than the club over the course of the contract, because Liverpool aren't going to be asked to pay this 60 million back in a year's time or 2 years' time. It's going to be over a certain amount of time, possibly 4 or 5 years, with a bit of interest on it. And you know what? For me, it's a very clever signing. I think it's a brilliant signing. Me and Matt raved about him the other night. Everyone in the chat was raving about him. But Keith, just I'll take. I want both of your view on this as well before we move on to who we might be on next, right? But as good a player he is, right? We know he can run, he can press. He's a good shot on him, assists, goals. He looks like he's an attacking 8 for me. If he's not a 10, he's an attacking 8 in this box system we use. Or he's one of those where he's going to play off the right if Salah is, needs a rest or whatever it might be. But it's just bringing these in, Keith, to just, like Shawnee said, fixing what we need to fix, adjusting to what we need to adjust to. And other teams around us are looking now going, these might be a problem again. Kev O'Sullivan said it there. Look at fans from other clubs, City, United, Arsenal. To man or woman, they're saying, yeah, Liverpool are a problem again. Keith, my biggest thing in this is that we have 8 or 9 that we can absolutely rely on. And I'm comfortable with any of them starting in 3 or 4 in midfield, wherever it might be.
Yeah, and this is a big thing. Last year, if we look, and it's, last year we were off the back of almost winning a quadruple, coming up short in a couple of games. And you looked at your options and you're like, yeah, if everything goes well, if the wind blows nice for us here, we'd be golden again. And it didn't. And we bring in Arthur Mello and he was a disaster and all this. Now we are looking at a situation where, like Shawnee hit the nail on the head, these two go into every other team. Every other team. I thought, as Shawnee said, that Szoboszlai would be the Kevin De Bruyne prodigy. I thought McAllister would be the same at Gundogan. Like, I thought these two are good enough to play for City, and that's the highest. Before we go on, people are giving out sound on this. We sound perfect here to each other, but people are saying that myself and Gav are quiet and Shawnee's mic is loud. Is everyone getting that in the chat? Let us know. Or is it just one or two?
Well, I'm shown on my mic levels to be bang on the same as you two when we're speaking.
Yeah, look, when we're talking, we can hear you perfect, but a few people are saying in the thing.
Shawnee's just a mouth, don't mind him.
Use me in, though.
That's it. But no, I think what we've got now is we've shown a real statement of intent with these two. Really, really, top level midfield players have come in, and it's something that we've all wanted for a long time. What we've wanted for Liverpool to do is to be clever with the signings and to be, it doesn't matter how much you spend once you're spending on the right player, but then you don't want to be too clever and be bringing in, a Sepp Vandenberg, not digging that kid out, but you know what I mean, trying to get them when they're too young. This is two statement signings for Liverpool, and you're right, we now have a situation where, if you've got these lads, and look, one thing I'm going to caveat this with is, I say it all the time about, like, if I'm talking about Mason Mount to Manchester United, if I'm talking about Declan Rice to Arsenal, I'm talking about Kai Havertz to Arsenal, like, yeah, you can only judge them if they're a success. And we'll say the same for these lads. On paper, they look like two great moves. We'll judge them after a year if they're successful on the pitch. But the qualities that they bring into a team that I think, while we were shite last season, there was signs that we were getting back to our best. And I think what we've done here is we've brought in quality that'll accelerate us getting back to where we should be, in my opinion, because you're not going to be leaning on a Jordan Henderson now to play every game on the right side of a tree or the right side of a box 4. And no disrespect to Jordan Henderson, being a huge fan of his, but he shouldn't be playing many games now. Now we've got two lads in there and possibly getting another lad in that pushes the others there, like Thiago, for example. Thiago would have always been, we want Thiago playing. In an ideal world now, we can use Thiago as a luxury player for the last year of his contract. We can use Henderson to see out a game if we need that bit of experience to come in. And we've now got the options in there that we can do an awful lot more if everything goes according to plan with them and nobody gets injured and things like that. But look, the business we've done and what I think we will do, I think it just shows that Klopp realised you can have 8 or 9 midfielders like we did last year, but if 3 of them are getting old and some of them are falling off cliffs and then others are just injured, they're not worth a shite, So you might have had 9 bodies, but the reality is you're flogging Harvey Elliott to death. Do you know what I mean? Because you've no one else. You're flogging, even at the end of the season, Curtis Jones. I know he misses a lot through injury, but he becomes so important because we can't rely on anybody else. So the options we're giving ourselves now going into next season, with Bajcetic coming back from injury, it'd be very interesting to see his development. look, it's looking good. I think it's looking very promising, than more so than what it was. Even a few weeks ago. If you look at Twitter, for example, rest in peace. If you're looking at that,
with a bit of luck,
yeah, you're looking at that, right? And Liverpool fans are going mad about the lack of business that we done, even though we brought in Alexis McAllister, which will, in my opinion, will be the bargain of the summer. There's not going to be a blatant deal for a quality player better than that. It was like we didn't sign him. Now we've got this fella in. We are actively going out and fixing our problems. Now, there's a few more problems to fix, but what a start to the summer. What a bit of business we've done so far. But the midfield now looks so far to be absolute contrast to what it was last year. And as I said, I think we get another one in there. Happy days.
Shawnee, Keith mentioned something there, and he said, you're flogging Harvey Elliott and you're flogging Jordan Henderson. We were in a position last season where we were flogging players that we couldn't afford to flog, in my opinion. Jordan Henderson and Fabinho being the main two. And then, in fairness, maybe Harvey Elliott as well. Okay? What we've gone to now, without anything else happening, is that A, you don't have to flog these players, and B, if they need a rest, and I'm not saying they all start, so don't take this all literally. I get attacked after every fucking show for every word's taken literally. But if any player needs a rest, bit of drop in form, wherever it might be, we aren't sitting there going, can't do anything about it. Sorry, but Milner's 37. You can only do it once a week. And no disrespect to Milner, he's brilliant. But sorry, Oxlade-Chamberlain, no. Kate, no, not available. So you're going to have to play. Without doing anything now, I feel like we're in a much better position where we can say, you're a bit tired 3 games a week, wherever it might be. We have the people there, Shawnee. And that's the biggest thing to come over for me. I'm not pinning on me hopes on Szoboszlai or McAllister, a goal and an assist every game, and we're just going to moor the teams, although I love it to happen. But I just want to know that if we need to change something in midfield, a bit like when we do on forward line, we can do it. We couldn't do that last summer, Shawnee, because of people not being available or just not being good enough.
Yeah, no, that's true. And taking all that into account as well, I think what is going to be overlooked for Liverpool in at least the first 6 months or the first half of the season is that I think the core group, like you said, there's 8 or 9 players there who can mix and match. But our real big hitters are probably only going to be playing 1 game a week right up until January, February, because you can expect heavy rotation with the Europa League and the cup competitions, because that's going to be the case. So it's horses for courses. We haven't had this luxury because we've lost 2 players who never played, but they were always depended upon, like in Oxlade-Chamberlain and Keita. Now, I'm not going to start bashing them. They're out the gap now at this stage, but it's just they were never available. So it meant the likes of Bajcetic came in and had to play games. It meant that Elliott was probably playing in a position where we didn't ever see him playing for Liverpool. Now, he's done all right there, don't get me wrong. He's performed there and been really good in games. He showed he's had a lot of talent. When Curtis Jones was fit as well, he did a job in there. And we were just running the bollocks out of Fabinho and a Henderson and a Thiago, who, when Thiago was fit, he was a top performer, but he was just fucking liable to break down at any stage. We've kind of negated that now. Someone there, even look at the back end in games last year, we were even deploying Gakpo in midfield away to Madrid to drop in. There was, so we have that luxury now, and it looks like they're going to go again and buy one other. So it will give us even more options, and the change of system, which means, this is why the Szoboszlai fucking signing makes so much sense, because he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife in a way that if you AFCON's in January, right, you can stick him out on the right and play Núñez through the middle and Diaz on the left, and you have 2 more conventional wingers and a target man in the box. It gives you different ways to play with the players you have there. So it's going to be a head scratcher not all these players can start, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's one thing it will do is it's gonna fucking flame the showy hemorrhages when starting 11s come out. But we literally have a core group of midfielders there that we can mix and match, and not only keep the players on their toes, but keep opposition teams guessing. Honestly, I really think we're moving in the right direction completely. And I need to caveat all this by saying that our business is far from done. I still think that we need another 2 significant signings in terms of the possible outlay in the future. Obviously, we're going to get into them, but look, I'm buzzing with the direction we're going so far. And look, all of these players we've mentioned, and we haven't spoke a word about Trent potentially playing in there. And you can't say that this is not an option or it's not something that's being considered. With a new system, it's all the likely he's going to be taking up a lot of time in there. I'm happy out at the state of play at this moment in time. I'm more than content with how I'm moving.
Keith, looking forward now, because we've got 2 players in there that I think Szoboszlai is brilliant in that position, but he can move around a couple of positions forward in the pitch. Where I think McAllister is brilliant in that position, but can move around a few positions from there backwards a little bit. So you're covering all the angles there in midfield, right? But we've been linked with Kefren Thuram. We've been linked with Romeo Lavia from Southampton. And these 2 are the names that are popping up now. The Thuram stuff has gone on for a while. He's out of the Euros 21s. Ukraine beat France 3-1 tonight in the quarterfinals, I think it was. So he's out. People were saying when they go out of this tournament, you need to watch for movement here on Kefren Thuram. Lavia was heavily linked with Arsenal, but in the last couple of days it's come out now Liverpool are pushing harder on this. Would you like to see them both? Do you see both of them happening? And what do you make of both of them? Like, is there a preference? Because Lavia isn't one that I don't think was massively on the radar. I agree with you.
I don't see both. I'd be surprised if they done both.
Okay.
I think the financial outlay would be huge, I think, to do both of them. Because I think we need to do a defender as well. And I see a defender and maybe another midfielder coming in. Now, I was all of the opinion that's Kefren Thuram. But as I said at the start of the show, bringing in Szoboszlai maybe changes that a bit, because Szoboszlai is an attack-minded midfield player. You know, you can do the pressing and you can do a bit of the tracking back, because the Red Bull team sort of have that as part of their style. But I think, my opinion is that they may look at a Lavia now, who is the more specialist 6. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Whatever happens there, I always felt that Bajcetic maybe would be the heir to that sort of, position, and they'd grow in. He's 18 years old. Lavia's 19. What's the point? But the more I'm thinking about it, and you think of the games that Bajcetic played last season, he actually done well when he played as an 8 as well. So I think, and he's a centre-back by trade. So I think we're sort of overlooking his ability to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife as well. And maybe that's the whole thing of what Liverpool are trying to do here. They're trying to get players that can play. They're not pigeonholed into one position, which I feel Lavia is more so just a 6. But when you bring in McAllister and you bring in Szoboszlai, and you look at, let's say, that new formation that he played with the 3 box midfield and the 3 up front, and you can just see McAllister and Szoboszlai can play at the 2 attacking areas of that, and you have Trent in the sort of double 6, and you can put any number of players in there beside him, whether it's Fabinho, whether it's Thiago, whether it's Henderson, whether it's even McAllister will go in and do that for you. So do they need, and Bajcetic as well, do they need to bring in a 6, or can you get it Kefren Thuram, who started off as a defensive player but has developed in more than ball carrying and attacking? So I was sort of thinking maybe it'd be Lavia, but now I'm leaning back. In the last 20 minutes I've leaned back to going for Kefren Thuram as well. ahead of Lavia. So I don't know. Whatever they do now, I think it's just a bonus in the midfield, because I think what we've done already has shaped the way we're going to play. Two very forward-thinking players, you know, two very, very attack-minded players we brought in. And look, Jurgen Klopp always likes to play attacking, but I think we've done an awful lot there. That sort of, I think the priority for me now would be getting in a top centre-back to integrate into that back line, and the midfield player maybe can be more of a project or more of a risky one. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think we were banking on McAllister and Thuram, and even then you're like, right, hopefully that hits the ground. Now, because of Szoboszlai, we're now in a position where it's like, right, bring in someone. If it doesn't work out, the chances are if you bring in 4 that are going to work out, someone's going to bleed and stink the gaff out. But if you're bringing in quality players like that, you get the squad, and you're bringing in players. You're not relying on them, and I think we've set ourselves up nicely. But I'd rather see us bringing in a higher caliber centre back than another high caliber midfielder. If you get me, I think focus on getting somebody into the back line again for future proofing your team. You know, Joe Matip getting older, a year left on his contract. Joe Gomez, don't know what way he's going to be. I think it's important that Liverpool can bring in a good centre-back. It doesn't have to be a starting centre-back. It doesn't have to be a Gvardiol. Do you know what I mean? Like that sort. It'd be great if they did someone like that. But the reality is we've got Kanate and we've got Virgil van Dijk there. And if you can get someone in there that's a good standard. The links to Bastoni coming out, I don't know about that. Do you know, I don't know about that. He's not the quickest. He wouldn't be a choice, a player I'd be interested in personally. But if you're bringing in a player like that, he is an established player, but he's going to cost a lot of dough as well. So you don't know what way they're going to go, but I'd rather see it focus on the defence now that we've done the business in the midfield.
Shotty, there's a lot of people out there that think that if we do, Thuram feels like, we do Thuram, everything stays as it is. But if we do both of them, one's going to go. Somebody's going to go, and like the name that keeps popping up is Thiago. Do you know what I mean? Because Thiago's last year of his contract and stuff like that. But is there an argument there? And look, you can knock me down on this, but is there an argument there to say that you could do Thuram and Lavia, and nobody goes? Now you end up with 10 midfielders, but the thing I'm saying is that nobody goes because they're just future proofing themselves now while the opportunity exists, because Thiago will go in a year. And maybe Fabinho mightn't find a good bit of form at the end of last season, but might end up in that bit of a rut again this season and go, have to cut our losses here. And maybe a Henderson's the same. Do you know what I mean? So is Thuram one they want, and maybe Lavia is an opportunistic one where we're going to have to fill that position in a year's time, and we feel now's the time to do it instead of being, you know, dragged into I don't know what. Well, City have a buyback on them, don't they? But
yeah.
But could it be something along them lines? Because now I'm going to say it, even though I'm making that point to you, I don't think so. I think if both of these come in, I think a midfielder leaves.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think if we're putting our hats on here, you can see an awful lot of work seems to have gone into the signing of Kefran Thuram, and the talk was that we were going to wait until the back end of the Euros, the under-21 Euros. I don't think Liverpool came away last week of Szoboszlai's buyout clause and just fucking shelved the idea of bringing in Thuram. I think it's within the realms of possibility that they certainly want both, and I think they probably will look at signing both, but I think the financials will have to make a little bit of sense. I can't say he's paying £50 million for Lavia. Now, I'm not too big up. I think Lavia is I think Lavia is a massive talent. I think in 2-3 years he could be one of the best sixes around Europe. He really impressed me last year. I know people are saying they weren't into him, but whenever I watched him, he was brilliant, in my opinion. And that's just how I feel about him. I think he's an excellent player, but I think I'd leave me stock in Bajcetic and go with Thuram if you had a gun to my head, because I think Thuram was a player who might be like is a potential game changer. Like he reminds me of Yaya Toure now. He was a bit he was a bit like hot and cold in the Euros when I seen him, but there's definitely a talent there. I think it's gonna. I think the club probably look the strong arm, probably Southampton. They're not going to pay the 50 million. I think if they look at Thuram and Lavia and can probably get the two of them for around 75, 80 million, they might do it. And I think we only need a 20 to 25 million centre back this window anyway. And I kind of have in my head, I get these weird things in my head now. I don't get fucking stubborn in them and go mad when they don't happen, but I have in my head, like, I think I read your man Bella Kotchup has a 25 million buyout. I think you could do the three of them and you're on the pig's back. That's just, people going on about injuries, this and injury. I think your man Bella Kotchup has all the tools to go and be a top centre back. More I saying, he's fast as fuck, he's good in the air, and his distribution is different grady. If he can strong arm Southampton into bringing down that price a little bit for Lavia, it'd be great. It does look like that Lavia is very keen on joining Liverpool as well. And we've seen again tonight that Thuram was liking the picks of Szoboszlai in the number 8 jersey as well. There's definitely something in it, and I think it is something they will explore. And again, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier on in the podcast. Looking at how they done the deal for Szoboszlai, I wouldn't put it out of realms of possibility that they bring in the two of these lads. Now, if you are twisting your arm on it, it looks like to me that Lavia is one that they're pursuing now, and that they're probably pushing up the ranks. I think the Thuram deal is there to pull the trigger on it. I reckon that's just fucking dotting the I's and crossing the T's on that one, to be honest with you. I have no fear of Newcastle taking any players off us. I genuinely don't. I'm being honest with you. People saying, I have no fear of going, because at the end of the day, they're still fucking Newcastle. I don't care what anyone says. They're not going to do Man City. They won't be able to do Man City. They're at the being caught with their tail between their legs. They thought they were fucking Billy Big Bollocks. They're still not that bleeding. They're not that club. If we want both of these, we will get them. That's the way I'm seeing it now. I think if we really want both of these, they will get them. And they will be used. I don't think they're going to be gone to waste. I think there's going to be plenty of minutes for players in there. If both of them do sign, then it's definitely going to be looking like someone is getting moved on. And Thiago is the fellow with the year in his deal on big wages. He would be fucking a perfect circus act to bring to fucking Saudi Arabia, in my opinion, because he's one of the best footballers in the world to watch when he's fit. So I'm not exactly it's probably my own fault. I kind of got married to the idea of us signing Kefren Thuram, and I was getting a bit horny about it, and I probably shouldn't have been. And that's and that's probably why I want them, to be honest with you. But I do see the sense in Lavia, because I do think he's a fucking excellent player. I think Lavia is a huge talent, and it would be Liverpool doing what they probably failed. This would be us catching up in a way on that window we missed out on. It's never ideal to be bringing in more than 4 players in a window, I feel. But someone like Lavia, if you're just dropping him in and out, and Bella Kotchup, who can just fucking drop in there into centre. He's the exact type of fucking centre back we should be profiling, by the way. Like, people are throwing an Asio in the chat. Lads, I work with a Spartan fan. I've said this outside the podcast, Gav, and he told me he's dirt. Honestly, he said he's not it. I said, will he be like Ruben Diaz? He says, no, he's nowhere near the level of him. And he said the same about the other lad at Benfica as well. I think his name's Silva, is it? Yeah, he said that like these would be opportunistic fucking grabs by Spartan and Benfica if they were to command big fees for these fellas. So I like Bella Kotchup. I really like Levi Carwell, but I feel he's going to be big money. If you can do Lavia and Carwell, give me that. But I think Brighton will do everything they can.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to beat us out, but Carwell is literally got.
But they have a player. They have a player that Chelsea want.
And exactly. Yeah. It just, I think Brighton hold a little bit the cards there in terms of they've had him on loan. They can bring him in. They have the money, and they'll have the money. And I think it'd be a perfect stepping stone for Carwell, because he can kick on in his career and he's going to start every week, where I don't think he's exactly guaranteed to start every week in a Liverpool team. So look, it's still, who knows what way it's going to go. I just feel like the way that Szoboszlai deal has been financed has really got my fucking head going and thinking that they're thinking outside the box here. So it's going to be interesting. I think tomorrow this stuff's just going to all start snowballing. And how we've operated in this window so far, we've been efficient. We've got back to things I've always said. I've never had actually an issue with the business that Liverpool done, except for them couple of last day loans. I think the only issue has ever been not doing enough business. I hope this is encasing this window and they get what's needed.
Oh, they're not finished. There's no way they're finished.
No, far from it. I genuinely believe they're far from it. But I think the general consensus, some even said we might need an attacker, and I kind of get that, but I wouldn't. It's not something I'd be prioritising. But for me, we need it for. We've got two. I think with the level of the two we've brought in, I actually think we can get a little bit creative on terms of what we do now with the next ones. So you could buy a Lavia and kind of feed him in, and you're buying a centre back in terms of going, right, maybe 2-3 years down the line, this is the fella to take up all of Virgil's minutes and maybe give Virgil a backseat, because that is coming. That is a conversation.
Oh, yeah,
that
it is coming.
Down the
Yeah.
I think it's a conversation probably coming in the next 18 months. Easy.
Yeah, 100%.
Marcus Barnes has a couple of super chats in. He says, I think we will sign Lavia, but there are rumours that we will sign Thuram too. If this happens, I think either Thiago or Fabinho will leave. And he follows up on, might have been something you said, Keith. He said, Keith, Thuram's defensive stats aren't great. He's more suited to an 8. Lavia is definitely a DM. Love the fact he is press resistant, athletic. He makes more sense in Lavia. And Ado Hill says, just spend the money on Caicedo. We are sorted for 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
Just pay the money, no brainer. You're not. I don't think you're going to listen. Come here.
Do you know
there's so many ways you can end up happy here, right? I'm happy with Thuram. I'd be happy with Lavia. But if it always a smoke screen and Caicedo comes in, you don't sign either. Then you're like, Jesus, that was deadly, wasn't it?
I've got a reference here again before we move on. Do you know what Liverpool are doing? Anyone here play Championship Manager, Football Manager?
Yeah, they're just stalling deals everywhere, aren't they?
But do you ever get you start a new save and you're stinking the gaff out in the 4-6 games and you go, fuck this shit, I'm starting a new game. I'll do it with the same team, but I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to buff up my sliders a little bit and give myself a little bit more cash. Now, I'm not going to go mad cheating and signing Bellingham and I'm fucking Mbappe and Hakimi and all the best. You're going and nipping the players with huge potential with the big price tags, but if you bring them in, they're going to kick you on massively. That's exactly what Liverpool are doing. That's exactly what we've done so far in this window. I genuinely think right side of centre mid, who can go box to box, great attacking numbers. That's Dominik Szoboszlai. A World Cup winning player who has exploded in the last year, who has fucking so many strings to his bow. 35 million, Alexis McAllister. I'm having that all fucking day. We're addressing issues with. We're buying a step up and bringing them in, and we're instantly improving. We're not buying the likes of Mount would have been a good signing, but Mount's not getting me horny at the end of the night. He's a good player. This Hungarian fella is. I'm just saying, I'm very horny, and
you can tell.
I hope it's still
horn is radiating.
Actually, it could be doing that. But Keith,
we're going to have the best game of Football Manager ever.
But Keith, look, it's we've talked to death about how the midfield wasn't looked after. We've talked to death how they have to do this summer. Like me and you've been banging on saying they have to do this summer. It's not like I said, we were talking about it on Wednesday night or Friday night. Sorry, it's not like years gone by where why aren't we signing a midfielder and there was 9 of them sitting there, and you're going, well, how many do you want? You can absolutely have a go with them because those 9 make up the package, but numbers wise, how further can we go? This summer's been different. 3 of them have immediately gone, right? So you're down to 6, and now with that 6 you can probably pick apart most of the 6, to be fair, whether that's age or experience, legs, wherever it might be. and they had to do something. But do you feel that if they were to do two, Keith, that they're trying to, A, fix the issue and trying to get ahead of themselves a little bit? Because that's what it feels like to me. I think one of these signings they won't be relying on. They won't be relying on. I think one of these signings will come in and it'll be a real case of Andy Robertson. You know, you've seen him after a while. You see a player just goes through a season and not much of it, but he'll burst on next year. Do you feel like they're trying to get ahead of themselves here?
It wouldn't be a bad thing. You know, we've been critical in the past. As Shawnee said earlier, it's not that we don't like the business Liverpool do, but we always leave ourselves too short. Me and you have said it all along that they had to do business this summer because of the players that are leaving, and the ones that were staying have become unreliable. You know, so your Hendersons, your Fabinhos, who last season we wouldn't have seen as, you know, last summer, we wouldn't have seen Fabinho maybe as an unreliable player. Now we look at him differently. He has to be looked at differently after the season he had. Thiago, Henderson, they've jumped down the pecking order because of the business we've done, because of the emergence of Stefan Bajcetic, because of the resurgence of Curtis Jones, because of, you know, Harvey Elliott, who we've spoke about on these shows loads of times. He's not a midfielder, he's a forward. I'll tell you what, that tip of the box midfield where I see Szoboszlai playing, I think Harvey Elliott would do a great bleeding job in there as well, and I think he's looked good in the Southampton game when he comes on and plays in there. So you can see a route in for these lads. But what they're doing is they're pushing Hendo, Fabinho, Thiago into the Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita and Milner. Not the same players, but it's pushing them into their pecking order, you know, that they're not up the top end of the scale. So, you know, you do this, you bring your age profile down. You look at the signings we've made, right? Szoboszlai 22, McAllister's 24, Gakpo I think is 24, is he, or even younger than that? You've got Diaz 24. We brought in Nunes 22, I think. You know, the age that we brought all these lads in, it's absolutely swamping that age profile down. And I think it's something we need to do. And I think if you bring in, let's say we were to do Thuram and Lavia, I agree, it might be a case of Lavia may not play an awful lot of games, because even though we have Europa League, if you have 10 midfielders, you know, there's people are going to want to play, you know what I mean, at some stage. They're going to want to play, and 10, if you get 10 and you've got a constant 8 of them available, it's a bit of an unnecessary headache. But if it's a case of saying, look, next season, 3 of these lads are not going to be, you know, Henderson will still be there, no doubt, but Fabinho could be gone if he doesn't improve, which he did improve, by the way, last season. I'm not saying he fell totally off a cliff, but Thiago won't be there. So next season, you might have a case where, right, there's 10 of them now, but we don't have to do anything next year then. That makes all the sense in the world, and that's what future proofing is. It means you don't have to do the work down the line, and you can focus other areas. You don't want to be focusing on a defensive overhaul next year, and that's what I think we need to do.
This is what I'm saying.
This year,
if they, the argument can be made that if you sort this midfield out, it actually helps an awful lot with the defensive side of things, right? Centre backs not being exposed as much, full backs the same, because we'll have legs in there. And I understand your shout with Harvey Elliott being really good at that tip of that 4, you know, the sort of way he is. But the personnel around him is massive as well. It's the same way if you put Trent into dropping him, letting him go into that midfield. The personnel around Trent has to be right in order for him to do that. You know, there's a knock-on effect, and that goes right back to Liverpool's team being a team and all being able to do anything they need for each other. It wasn't the most glorious football you'll ever see, but they all worked the bollocks off for each other, right? But I think by getting ahead of yourself in this summer, and we've spoken about it, you're not solving this midfield in one summer, but they look like they might have a fucking good go at it, where they'll say to themselves, we need 3, right? We need 3 just to get back on par, right? We're looking at 3 next summer that you'll have doubts, massive doubts over, and one will leave, I think, in Thiago. And then you look at Henderson and Fabinho. You don't want to run. We don't want to do this again next summer. We don't want to have to be. So what about if we get 1 extra in this summer, Thiago goes, and what we do is we just do 1 more next summer. and we make a decision on Fabinho and or a Henderson, and that leaves you to pick up another defender and maybe a forward, because the forward not rumour, but a lot of people have said to me, I think we need another forward. By doing it now and being clever now and getting it at the right price, when it comes to next summer, you're kind of going, yeah, he's going, but you know what? Forward, midfielder, defender, bang, we're out of here, job done. That's what I think might be happening here. And I wouldn't put it past Liverpool, and this might sound mental, but I wouldn't put it past Liverpool to sign these two in midfield and sign a centre-half, and nobody leaves. Nobody leaves the club. And they just go, let's just fucking put a team together in the Europa League over here and the Premier League over here, and we'll have minimal fuss throughout this season. And when it gets to next season, we have a player already there, if a Henderson or a Fabinho goes, and it allows us to concentrate on something over here. But then again, we could be sitting here in fucking 6 weeks' time and we've only signed 2 players and we should have signed 4. Because, if you look at the history, fair enough. We're going to leg her in a few minutes. Are you excited for the season, Shawnee? Is the excitement starting to build? Because I have loads of people saying to me now, I can't. Like Matt literally on Friday night, when he was mentioning the names, Szoboszlai, and then he was like, and Thuram, and maybe, and then he was like, he actually just burst out of him. He was like, I'm just so excited for the season now. Is it starting to build for you now? Because I looked it up today. When's this first fixture? Because I want to see these players playing now.
Yeah, not like I get excited when all the pre-season stuff starts coming around. Like I was even watching the kit launch video yesterday, and I was kind of going, "Oh, right, I'm starting to miss the boys a little bit now," because I'm the type of person who consumes fucking LFC content till it comes out in years. I'm watching a fella called KC Imageworks flying his drone over the stadium every day, fucking looking at the progress on the new stand. I'm weird like that. I'm so easily placed in terms of that. I don't miss football yet. Fucking last year was a load of football, and I've been watching kind of the story of the season last year, and I watched the World Cup show that done like the highlights of the World Cup, and I was like, that was fucking great, wasn't it? But it's looking good, Gav, and I think with how we finished last season, the run in, the last 10 games, we put ourselves in people's thoughts again. One thing I've noticed is when a lot of people are doing these predictions for next season, Liverpool are right up there. I listened to the lad, the Newcastle or the Man City fan Steve, on a podcast the other day, who I actually really like him. I think he speaks his mind the whole time. I think he's a big wind-up merchant. But I was listening to him on a podcast the other day, and they were asking him, how does he feel about Rice going to Arsenal and Havertz? He was like, no. He says, if I'm being honest with you, I'm kind of looking at Liverpool and the sort of business they're doing, because I know when it gets into a scrap and it gets into the nitty-gritty, they are the team that can do 12, 13, 14 wins on the spin and keep us on their toes. People were talking like Liverpool were dead and buried last year, with the way the season played out. I'm not giving up on some of the players who underperformed last year. I think
these signings actually helped loads.
I expect Van Dijk to be above his level, or not back to his normal self, but way above the levels he showed last year. We've seen flashes from Fabinho at the back end of last year. I think with a little bit more protection and legs out of him, you'll see the better of him. It was a tough season for a lot of them lads last year, coming out of a World Cup, coming off the back of a 62 game season the year before. You need to kind of take that into consideration. Like, they're not fucking robots. The City lads aren't robots either, but they've 2 squads, so they're just fresher, naturally fresher. But I think something that City are making signings, but I think something that's being glossed over on their end is Rodolfo Borrell is gone from their coaching staff. They've lost Gundogan. They're losing Bernardo Silva. Laporte is gone. It looks like Mahrez is going to leave. There's a bit of chopping and changing going on there at City. They'll still be for middle next year. And De Bruyne has a really serious injury. Like, his hamstring come off bone in the Champions League final. So, he's not going to...
Naby Ox, didn't we? They were out for fucking months.
Look, it's fucking there for us, Gav. The ace in the hole we always had was Jurgen Klopp. And he's proven to be fruitful again because he's getting in these players' ears and they want to fucking play for him. Lavia is not sure to suit us. Thuram won't be sure to suit us. If we pursue those deals, we'll get them. So there's reason to be optimistic. There is. That's the way I see it. There's genuine reason to be optimistic going into the back end to the start of the season. Like, it's a fresh feel. Everyone feels like when they kick off, they have a chance. But, like, the Bellingham thing was a kick in the bollocks. But the club, since then, have fucking handled it to a T. There's still business to be done. We won't jump the gun, but we won't shit the bed at the same time. You fucking remain level-headed. There's still plenty of time to go on this window, and there's plenty of preparation needed for this season. But I feel like we genuinely are in a really, really solid position moving forward here. With a little bit more investment in the rest of this window, we'll be good to go. And I'm telling you, people might not admit it, but we will definitely be in their fucking thoughts when it kicks off. And a lot of them will be watching that Chelsea game on the first game of the season going, all right, well, are we going to have to worry about these fuckers for another 38 game season? Are these going to leave us alone and we'll just have to fight off an Arsenal side who we know haven't got the minerals again? I think we will be definitely in the hunt, and that's all we can ask for. Like I said, look at where we are at this stage. 2nd of July, 2 great signings in the door, looking to do more business on the way. I'm optimistic, Gav. I'll say that. I won't use the H word because I've already done that. But I'm optimistically horny.
It's spreading, Shawnee. It's spreading because Mohammed Jogee says, greeting from Egypt, boys. I love the show and I've been watching for years now. He's horny about all of these signings as well. He said something else, but I'm going to use the word horny, if that's okay. Keith, before we go, how excited are you about pre-season and seeing these players? And, you know, like, let's be honest, we'd be excited about the season if we didn't have signings in, you know, or what's going to happen and curiosity and all. But when you have new signings, you're trying to watch that game at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, aren't you, somewhere in Germany? Because, you know, Szoboszlai might get 15 minutes at the end. The excitement level does go up and the assignments come off.
100%. You know, and it's natural for any fan base. And look, like Shawnee was saying, you know, I love the content when the pre-season starts back. I love, you know, getting as much of the behind the scenes stuff, you know, the inside training and all that sort of stuff. I love all that. And you get to see the dynamic of the team and all that. And I just think every year I'm excited to come back into the season, but I just think, with new signings coming into the team, it's not just a case of new signings, right? So last year we brought in Darwin Núñez, big money signing, people didn't know what to expect. Hasn't worked out, okay, that's fine. We can admit that it hasn't worked out yet. That was a one signing, and the other signings were maybe, you know, I can't even remember who we signed, Calvin Ramsey and Carvalho. You know, they're not big money, they're not established players. This looks like it's Klopp 2.0 now. It looks like it's a rebuild of the team. It's not just, we're bringing in a player. It looks like we're reshaping now from the engine room, and that has to be exciting because you can bring in a forward, and if your midfield falls off a cliff, it doesn't matter what you do because your team are fucked. If others are, you know, having a bad season like we saw last year, the defence were suffering, the forwards were suffering, everyone was suffering. We're now overhauling the midfield, and the type of player we're bringing in, you can't not be excited by what you expect to see out of them. And I just cannot wait to see it coming. And on top of that, the players we still will bring in, you know, I reckon, as we've said, we're looking at least another 2 more to come in. And we look at that, a big summer, it's hard not to be excited. It's hard not to get horny about it. And look, long may it last.
Yeah, if everyone isn't getting off here now and lashing on Moose Tea, I don't know what's the meaning of life. Get Moose Tea on after this. About 1998, that song, would you reckon?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Google that.
Google that. I reckon Moose Tea, horny is about 1998. Shawnee was just a nipper at the time. But he's keeping the tradition rocking on by just saying horny loads. And News T-shirt next week from Shawnee. Courtney says genuinely excited for the first time in a while for this new season. Let me see. Someone says there, start offering memberships. What YouTube memberships? No, you have to pay for
these
YouTube
are all
memberships.
part of the channel.
Give it over, will you? I hate fucking YouTube. To be honest with you, it's only you people that watch that keep me on YouTube. To be honest, what was I going to say? Yeah, look, it's going to be exciting. There's more going to happen. The rest of the week on this channel. Tuesday night, Phil Casey is on with me, and we're going to have a big chat around Luis Suarez. I'll try to get one or two of these boys sitting here with me now to come on, because Luis Suarez, I don't know whether he's retiring or whether he's trying to tell Gremio we can't play anymore, so he can fuck off to the MLS and get another few
else.
right? Because genuinely, if you're the most Suarez thing ever to do, go, lads, my ankle's fucked, and then he turns up in Inter Miami on about 50 million a year. But we're gonna have a big chat about Luis Suarez. It's pre-season. He was an unbelievable player for Liverpool and other clubs. So we're going to talk about that. So if Shawnee or Keith are around on Tuesday night, we might do that. I know Kev and Chris are going to look back on some old, good, great Liverpool games. We're definitely going to do some more transfer stuff. And if anything happens with regards to signings, like they're very close or they're done, we will 100% have shows just as it happens or just after it happens. The song was 1998, says James LFC. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, another good week ahead. A cracking week last week. The shows were brilliant last week. And people were probably expecting a quiz. And in fairness, one or two listeners have emailed me a quiz. So I'm thinking of amalgamating both together and doing one big quiz. I know Matt is working on a general knowledge quiz for everybody that can play along. So there'll be loads of that coming as well. We haven't done a draft at all this summer because you've probably run out of options, but if I can think one up, I will. But like I said, look, it's been a really good week for Liverpool. It's been a really good week for the shows we've done. More to come next week. Keith, anything else before we go? What are you listening to at the moment?
What am I listening to at the moment? Oh, do you know what? It's a song, right? And it's the Commodores' Night Shift. Do you know that song?
No.
Right, so Lionel Richie was in the Commodores and he left them and they had their first big hit in 1985 after he left, and it's called Night Shift. It's a great song. Get on and listen to that. I'm listening to a bit of Commodores, yeah. Okay. A little bit of soul music, you know what I mean? I love a bit of the old soul stuff. So yeah, that's what Motown and soul from the 60s and 70s, all that sort of gear. Great. But yeah, get on to Night Shift by the Commodores. Great song.
There you go. Yeah, good stuff. Arsenal for Life says we've had a better transfer window than you. It's not over yet. Don't talk like an Everton fan. Everton win.
Yeah.
Everton have trophies and everything for the transfer windows. Shawnee, anything else before we go?
No, all good. Fucking, I love that new kit. I'll say that much. It's really,
do you like the kit or do you like the gear around it?
I love it all. I honestly love it all. I think it's deadly. It's one of them where you're like, now in fairness, when you've out of shape blokes in their 30s and 40s walking around town, it's probably not going to look as good as it does on here.
Me and you, Keith.
He's not wrong.
It's probably not going to look as appealing, but the boys really they really pull her off, and the training gear is whopper as well. I think I'll be diving in, and I won't be fucking buying off. I'm not elitist here, but I won't be buying off them Chinese websites. I want to give a few quid to the font. You know, if I buy two tracksuit tops and me end up with the two boys in the middle of
you'd be claiming all the credit.
You've done your bit, You've played your part.
Yeah,
if I hadn't used that one for all voucher my ma got me at Christmas on the Liverpool website, they wouldn't have got them two players.
Bertie's in the chat, and his old man, my Uncle Joe, is not doing too well at the moment. So just throwing out a little praise up from my Uncle Joe and Albert Bertie in the chat. So
Bertie also says he was at the Prodigy last week and he's still in pain from it.
Yeah.
And Paul Giovanni says since Glastonbury has been Guns N' Roses reliving that 90s madness. We love a bit of music talk at the end, don't we?
We do.
But if we tried to do like a music podcast, we'd be shy at it. Because we just stop talking and just play a song with me. I'll just play a song there, it'd be grand. Anyway, listen, it's been a really good show. There was nearly close to 1,000 of you watching there at one stage as well. Not enough of you hit the like button, but what can I do? There's nothing we
Think
can
of
do.
asking at
Hit
this
it if
stage.
you want, subscribe, comment, turn on the bell icon, all that sort of stuff. Stick
Like
with your
that's
Alex.
okay.
Anyway, link is in the description for our charity. €3,000 away from the 20,000 target. If you can donate, the link is there. If you want to copy the link and share it amongst your friends, your family, your colleagues, wherever it might be, please do that as well. That's been the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. Loads and loads to come during the week with a bit of luck. Thanks to Keith, thanks to Shawnee, thanks to all the millions who's in the chat there tonight. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.